All right, so let's give an update to the old geezer who decided that shooting someone for going to the wrong house was a really great idea. So, anyway, let's just go to the article. So, a Missouri judge ruled Thursday that the 84-year-old white homeowner who shot a black teenager after he mistakenly went to the man's house must stand trial. I cannot wait for the day when we don't have to mention someone's race in something like this. But, of course, we do because we know why he shot her. Clay County Judge Louis Angles issued the ruling after a dozen witnesses spoke at a preliminary hearing, including Ralph Yarl, the teenager who was shot by Andrew Lester on April 13th when Yarl went to the wrong house to pick up his younger brothers. Lester, a retired aircraft mechanic, is charged with first-degree assault and armed criminal action. He previously pled not guilty to in the shooting that shocked the country and renewed national debates about gun policies and race in America. His next court date is an arraignment scheduled for September 20th, my birthday. Yarl spoke softly as he testified that he was sent to pick up his twin siblings but had no phone. He'd lost it at school. The house he intended to go to was just blocks from his own home, but he had the street wrong. Yarl said he rang the bell and the wait for someone to answer for what seemed longer than normal. As the inner door opened, Yarl said he reached out to grab the storm door. I assume these are my brother's friend's parents. Instead, it was Lester who told him, "Don't come here ever again," Yarl recalled. He said he was shot in the head, the impact knocking him to the ground. Well, yeah. And was then shot in the arm. Lester's attorney, Steve Salmon, and this is rich, said in closing arguments that Lester was acting in self-defense, terrified by the stranger who knocked on his door as he settled into bed for the night. I'm not aware of criminals knocking on the damn door. If they're going to break into your house, they're going to break into your house. With his age and physical infirmity, he is unable to defend himself. Wait a minute, you shot someone in the head, but you can't defend yourself. And it was self-defense. How in the world does that make even a lick of sense? Either it was self-defense or he couldn't defend himself. Pick one. He described Lester as distraught after the shooting. Distraught because he knows he's in trouble, or distraught because he shot a kid? Because those are two very different reasons to be distraught. A terrible event occurred, but it is not criminal, Salmon said. Really? Shooting someone for absolutely no reason is not a criminal act? How the hell was this self-defense when the kid wasn't even attacking him? There was no self-defense. Okay, maybe he was scared. Maybe he is so damn racist that just seeing a black kid scares the crap out of him. All right, fine. The kid didn't do anything. Fine, point a gun at him and tell him to go away. The kid would go away and realize he's had the wrong house. You didn't have to actually shoot the kid. So, no self-defense. To make the self-defense case, Salmon focused heavily on the teen grabbing for the storm door. Again, if he's going to break into your house, he's not going to knock on the door and wait for you to answer. Questioning the fact that Yarl initially said he hadn't. He got shot in the head. He's supposed to remember everything perfectly? I'm sorry, what? You endure a trauma and then tell me that you remember that you have total recall immediately. What? Yarl responded that the first interview with law enforcement happened on the same day he underwent neurological surgery. Exactly. How exactly is he supposed to remember things perfectly at this point? He was traumatized. Good God. The shot to his head left a bullet embedded in his skull, testified Dr. Joe Lingo, a pediatric neurosurgeon who treated Yarl. It did not penetrate his brain, however. Thankfully. Because if it did, I'm pretty sure he'd be dead. District Attorney Zachary Thompson said, although Missouri law offers protections for people defending themselves, you do not have the right to shoot an unarmed kid through a door. Exactly. Kansas City officer Larry Dunaway described Lester as an elderly guy who was scared after the shooting. Another officer, James Gale, said Lester was clearly worried. Yeah, worried that he was going to get into trouble for shooting a kid for no fucking reason. Now, again, I'm sure he was scared when he saw a kid at his door when he was getting ready for bed. I do not dispute that. It was his actions after the fact. I mean, just pointing a gun is usually enough to scare punks away. You do not need to actually fire the damn gun. He said he hoped he didn't kill anybody, Gale testified. Let's see, you shot someone in the head and then shot him again in the arm after he went down. So you must have gotten closer to him. I'm sorry, at the time, I don't think you really gave a shit whether you killed someone. I mean, it's possible once the brain caught up with whatever the hell you were doing, maybe it's entirely possible he didn't, if he was thinking rationally, he wouldn't have done it. That's entirely possible, but the fact is still, he did it. He said surveillance cameras would have allowed Lester to see Yarl pull up to his house. Crime scene workers testified surveillance cameras broadcast views from the front door and driveway onto monitors into Lester's bedroom, although the footage wasn't recorded. So he had surveillance cameras, but it wasn't working? Is that what that said? Salmon told reporters after the hearing that he doesn't think Lester watched the monitors, although he said he never asked him. That might be something you might want to ask him. First off, why do you have surveillance cameras and, ignore the monitors? That would be a great question if he didn't. Or maybe he did and just decided that he was going to scare him away. Or he's going to teach him a lesson or something. A handful of people wearing shirts that said Justice for Ralph were in the courtroom. Others wore shirts that read, ringing a doorbell is not a crime, which is true. Well, technically he knocked. He didn't ring the doorbell, but same thing. Yarl continues to heal from the traumatic brain injury he suffered, but was able to complete an engineering internship this summer and just started his senior year in high school. That's great. The 17-year-old is planning to major in engineering when he graduates, with several college visits planned for the fall. That is really good to hear. Lester told authorities he shot Yarl through the door without warning because he was scared to death he was about to be robbed. Again, what robber knocks on the door? It's not like they were just making noises trying to break in. He knocked. He waited for you to come to the door. Again. And you would know that if you looked at the damn monitors, which you claim you have. There was again, maybe he was scared to see a black man. Maybe he is that racist that just seeing someone with black skin scared him to death. It's entirely possible. But there's two choices here. Number one, stay in your room and call the damn police. which might end up getting the kid shot too and possibly killed because, you don't know about the police. However, that is an option for you. Another option is, I'm told that these doorbell surveillances, you can actually talk to people through them. You don't have to actually interact with them personally. You can actually talk to them through the device and ask them why you're here or something. Because again, the kid was knocking on the door and then standing and waiting for someone to answer like a normal person would when they're picking someone up. That is not how a robber reacts. Initially turned away while seeking help at neighboring homes, Yarl stumbled to the street. Neighbor Carl Conrad testified that she was offering words of comfort through her window. A dispatcher had warned neighbors should stay inside. At one point he yelled, "I've been shot." Wait. The dispatcher? From who? Who the hell called 911? When Yarl crumpled to the ground, 3 neighbors rushed to help. Jody Doval testified there was a trail of blood which pooled under his head. But Yarl was able to talk, telling her he went to ring the doorbell and was shot. I thought, oh no, he went to the wrong house, Doval said. Okay. How on earth do you come to the conclusion that, well, obviously he went to the wrong house. But how sad is that that's the first thing that you think of? Lester also called 911. Well, a little fucking late. On the recording played in court, he could be heard telling the dispatcher, "I shot him. He was at my door trying to get in, and I shot him." He was knocking on your door expecting you to let him in, you fucking piece of shit. Missouri is one of about 30 states with stand your ground laws. Oh, that's great. That allow people to respond with physical force when they are threatened. Yes, and most of the time those people aren't even threatened. It's just fantasies in their head, racist fantasies that they lash out in and are shocked when, reality doesn't purport to their fantasies. Salmon has said Lester's home was egged and spray painted after the shooting. He should be glad that's all that happened. Jesus Christ. He said Lester has sought law enforcement assistance when traveling, and his wife has been moved from her nursing home. I'm sorry, you shoot a kid for absolutely no reason, and now you guys are trying to paint him as a victim and have this sob story? No, this shouldn't be happening to you. That is true. But you did shoot a kid in cold blood for no fucking reason. So what did you expect was going to happen? Yarl's father, Paul Yarl, said during a break that he was moved hearing the neighbors testify. Some of the details were new to him, I'm sure. He said his son was mainly recovered physically but still struggled psychologically. He relives the night and has bad dreams. Well, yeah, he suffered a trauma. I don't blame him at all. It was horrible. Blood, shooting. Nobody wanted to come until police arrived, he said. He said he was not frustrated with the bystanders. I'm more frustrated with the shooter, Paul Yarl said. He started it. He didn't want to talk to the boy. He just shot the boy. And now he tries to play the fear card, and he's afraid. He should be afraid. He's going to kill somebody. Come on now. I agree with the father. I mean, okay, even if he was afraid, there are multiple ways to deal with it. Maybe check the camera. oh, he's just, he knocked on the door and is just patiently waiting for me to open the door. That does not sound like a robber, so he's good. He's just at the wrong house. I'm going to find out what he wants and send him on his way. But no, he decides that, oh my God, I'm going to be robbed. Let's shoot the kid. Even if you're going to be robbed, you said, don't come around here anymore. You threatened him with a gun. Let the kid go. If the kid tries to get in afterwards, then okay, you have a point. But that's not what happened. Race was discussed little at the hearing, other than one neighbor saying Yarl didn't have a history of making racist comments. I assume that was supposed to be Lester, since Yarl is the kid. Thompson, the prosecutor, said simply that he's focusing on proving what is required by the law and that doesn't involve a racial component. Well, that's a nice way of saying that I'm racist too, but, I have to do my job. But Faith Spoonmore, Yarl's aunt, looked into the afternoon sun when asked if race was an element of the shooting. Is it sunny outside, she asked. Because, yeah. Support for Yarl and his family poured in over the past few months. A GoFundMe set up on the family's behalf raised nearly $3.5 million. Now, it's entirely possible, like I said, that this dipshit is horribly racist and just saw someone who is black and immediately got afraid because, black people scary. But the fact that that's not even being talked about, because I highly doubt if this was a white teenager. I mean, it could possibly be that if it was a big white guy, that he would be just as afraid. I mean, that's entirely possible. But it's also possible that he's not consciously racist. Because I've said this story before that, I would walk in the evenings, and this was years ago when I was in college. I would walk past black guys, and I would immediately tense up and walk faster. And also chiding myself for, okay, they're just a bunch of guys who are hanging out. Nothing to be afraid of. So, subconscious racism is a thing, even amongst people who don't consider themselves racist. So, and who generally aren't. But that is a thing. And it's just, maybe he didn't consciously think, oh, you're a black guy, I'm going to shoot you because you're obviously here to rob me. But subconsciously, maybe he did think that. I mean, he did say that he was afraid he would be robbed. And the question becomes, why did you think that? Why did you think that this kid who was posing no danger to you, was just nicely standing and waiting for you to come, why did you immediately fear he was going to rob you? So, anyway, it'll be interesting to see what happens September 20th. He's only going to be arraigned, so that means he's only going to be told when his trial is going to begin, rather than anything really juicy happening. But it'll be interesting to see. Now, I do feel bad for the guy that his wife had to be moved, that he's being threatened, because that shouldn't happen. But at the same time, now he knows what true fear is, rather than just shooting some kid because you assumed shit. So at least now he knows what real fear is. But no, he should not. This should not be happening to him either. Let the law deal with it, because despite the obvious racism from the district attorney, he at least is willing to prosecute and have justice for this kid. So there is that. I believe that's all I have for this article, and I will see you guys in the next video.